But baddest in the city, ain't nobody fucking with me. Your man's gon' give me brain like you trying to make me witty. Shawty like the bread, if it's money, then I'm with it. Get it, then I fled, time to hit another city. All my angles pretty, but baddest in the city. He gon' give me brain like you trying to make me witty. Shawty like the bread, if it's money, then I'm with it. Get it, then I fled, time to hit another city. Oh shit, I'm in my boss bitch mode. The baddest that ever did it before. COVID mode, contagious to all you hoes. No, I'm not your lady, get paper on the daily. Boys, fuck you, pay me, man, I hate and shit. That shit was never in me. I ain't average, I leveled up, they envy me. He already know he winning, cause he fucking with Peach. It's getting really hard to tell a real friend from a leech. Yeah, they all want a piece, but I'm way out of their league. Preach. I got drip, I got sauce, VIPEACH, lick me clean, make me cream, make me scream, make me scream. All my angles pretty, but baddest in the city. He gon' give me brain like he tryna make me witty. Shawty like the bread, if it's money, then I'm with it. Get it, then I fled, time to hit another city. Don't hit my line, ain't got time, I'm too busy trying to find a route. Trying to play me like a thought, had to rip his heart out. Didn't think I could do it, that's right, they slept on me. 1 year later, hottest in the 513. Trying to copy me, I ain't no puzzle piece. Too busy chasing my dream, now who work harder than Peach? But baddest in the city, ain't nobody fucking with me. Your man's gon' give me brain like he's trying to make me witty. Shawty like the bread, if it's money, then I'm with it. Get it, then I fled, time to hit another city. All my angles pretty, but baddest in the city. He gon' give me brain like he tryna make me witty. Shawty like the bread, if it's money, then I'm with it. Get it, then I fled, time to hit another city. Deuces, man. Y'all quit fucking playing with me like I ain't one of the hardest working rappers in Cincinnati, man. Quit playing with me, VIPEACH.
Good afternoon. This is the Rio George of the Jungle. Welcome to another episode of the Spirit Animal Podcast. And today we do have a special guest under the name of VIPEACH, an entrepreneur, a military personnel as well. Previously 6 years, I do believe so. So we'll go ahead and touch base on that. And as well a single mother. A lot of information, a lot of backstory that we'd like to know about VIPEACH. A lot of good, positive feed has came throughout the years, not only with her modeling business, but her production. A lot of good things that we can take as nuggets. So please take a quick listen. Without further ado, VIPEACH.
Hola. Thank you for that introduction.
It is an honor to have you on. How is your day going today?
It's good. It was a busy day. I purchased some new furniture for my new apartment. Just been trying to get settled in here in Florida.
Definitely. So I've been seeing along your story. You've been moving with the past week or the past 2 days. You've been going from what state did you go to Florida?
I moved from Nashville to Florida, but I'm originally from Cincinnati.
From Cincinnati,
Ohio.
Now, did you start your career in Cincinnati or did you begin in your previous state?
I began in Cincinnati.
In Cincinnati. That's interesting. And did you kick off your first label there as well in Cincinnati, or you started off production with your music later on?
So I haven't officially created a label yet.
Oh, okay.
I'm still independent. Just been doing everything myself, and a few other people assisted me with some other pieces to the puzzle. But the production, as far as like running the events and producing events, yes, I also started that in Cincinnati at a venue called the Mockbee.
Nice. And that was rapping and as well doing your own style of beat, or were you doing any type of entertainment as well?
So I don't make my own beats yet, but I usually have those made with a couple of producers that I work with in Cincinnati, a couple in Spain, kind of all over. But I do for the production of events. It's more is where my producing comes from right now. I would like to eventually learn how to make beats, and add to the skill list. It's on my list, my to do list.
You have a long to-do list as we go down through your past. And to begin with that, we want to get down into your routine. Do you happen to have any spiritual routine that you incorporate on a daily basis?
Yeah, I started incorporating a morning routine, basically, where instead of like getting on my phone immediately when you wake up, it was recommended to me that you either like stretch, or you read affirmations, or for me, I like to read a couple pages of a book, like a good mindset book I was reading was called The Game of Life and How to Play It. So I started just trying to get in a habit, at least a good first hour that I wake up. I just kind of take time for me, get a cup of coffee, go outside, sit in the sun, and it kind of just sets the tone for your day.
So out of the stretching, do you find any of that being attached to any spiritual practice that you may call anything spiritual? And by what I mean spiritual might be a little bit naive, but is there any practice that you have as in religion or any type of religion you incorporate?
I wouldn't say there's any specific religion that I incorporate. Just that I do a lot of manifestation within my journey. Really just, oh my gosh, just using the universe, and showing a lot of gratitude and giving out a lot of good energy, and believing that I'll get that energy back, is just how I've really navigated this, and really believing that what I speak into existence, really trying to choose my words a little carefully, and blessing my enemies, and just the more that I just really get into that type of spirituality. And I'm not sure if you can really call it a certain type of religion, but yeah.
Yeah, it's something that you do on a daily basis, something that you feel like giving out good vibration is a given. And I was stuck in that point too, where I was being more of an asshole, and I did see that karma, it works in both ways, whether it's good or bad, you're still gonna get it.
Yeah, and even subconsciously, I think that even too, you can put it on the internet, I think, all you want to, and act like you're all good vibes and blah, 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 but if it's not really, you're not really doing the inner work, it's still not gonna work.
Absolutely, there's a lot of inner work that plays into it. That's you hit it right on the head. Do you happen to combine this into your work balance as in business? So you said it is part of your brand, it is part of who you are, but do you combine that as something that you like to reciprocate in other people and see them thrive within that as well?
Yeah, absolutely. My how I brand myself is music model mentor. So I do consider myself a mentor to other people. I was, I don't know, I read it somewhere, or someone told me one time of, uh, find a mentor, be a mentor when it comes to entrepreneurship. So I've had a lot of mentors along my journey who've helped me. And I try to, again, just giving out good energy, and that I receive it back. So I always try to help other people along their journeys, whether that be through domestic violence and mentoring them out of a domestic violence situation, and helping them see their own self worth, and kind of de-brainwashing them out of that, or through music or modeling. If someone wants to become a model, I will invest time in them and kind of just guide them along a safe journey through the entertainment world, because I've just been taken advantage of so much. And then now with music, as I've learned more about making music, and what that entails, or throwing events and sharing the knowledge that I've gained through this process, so that other people can be successful and follow their dreams as well.
Yeah, it's a good process, especially when you see it thrive in other people. You
Yeah.
might you might have some events where you look at the people or your audience, and they're so happy just to see you shine, and it's legitimate because you see them there show after show after show. But when you see them miss a show, it makes you think. But then once they come back, you see that it's a true fan. Like it's somebody that's there and has been there for the get-go. And those are the people that we stand here for. It's not because of us. It might be more because of the people that we see have some type of change in their life, whether it be, you know, going out or doing something different.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think that's really what drives this in general, is that when people will randomly reach out to me and say, you inspired me, I've been watching your journey, or you inspired me to start modeling, you inspired me to start my own business, you inspired me to move to Florida, you inspired me, you know, to leave my abusive partner. That's all this ever really was supposed to be. It originally kind of started, I started my podcast for the domestic violence as a means, as a roadmap for people listening to get out of domestic violence relationships, and that I just really wanted my experience to mean something. I was like, oh my God, there's no way I went through all this for nothing. So I really wanted it to mean something. So I started the podcast, and it just kind of snowballed from there. I started modeling to, you know, rebuild my self-confidence. And then I was able to teach other women to do that as well. And once I kind of mastered that, it moved on to music, to express myself and tell stories through music. And then I got taken advantage of with promoters, and I got sick of people, you know, taking my money and wasting my time through events. So I was like, all right, I'm going to throw my own events. I'm not going to wait for people to book me for shows, and I'm going to take it into my own hands. So it's just been a step-by-step process.
But that table is getting bigger and bigger by the second, you know, and
Absolutely.
especially when it is your table, it grows quicker.
Definitely. You can add chairs or take them away.
Exactly. Why did you choose entrepreneurship? I know that you were military prior, but before that, like, was there something that you had started as maybe selling some different article or something different in your life?
Yeah. I think I've always been an entrepreneur, before I kind of knew it or put a word to it. And I really consider myself a serial entrepreneur. Before I didn't even know what that term was till like a couple years ago, I feel like. Because I just have started so many different things.
And explain that term. Explain the term, serial entrepreneur.
Serial entrepreneur, yeah. So like you start several businesses.
Mm-hmm.
I think for whatever reason, I even still, like, I get told you gotta pick one thing. You gotta stick to one thing and pick a niche and da 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 and be specific. And I'm not saying that's wrong, but I also believe in stacking skills, and that I think what makes me unique is that I do have a very wide reach of different people, because I do so many different things. My fan base is very diverse, and I touch people in a lot of different ways, and a lot of different type of people, because of all the things that I do. And I wear so many different hats, and it doesn't get confusing, because I think I'm able to really be specific and speak on what I do to those people, and they show up for me in those places. So I used to sell brownies in high school. I mean, even before that, I grew up, my dad bred yellow lab puppies. So he was selling those as a kid. I was helping with breeding the dogs. I would sell them like on the side of the street or something to people. It'd be like $10 puppies, blah, blah, blah. And I started selling brownies and cookies in school. I'd go around to the different tables. I would go to Sam's Club. I'd buy all the, cake mix. After I did my homework, I'd bake the brownies, go to school the next day with my bag of brownies, and offer $1, and I was able to pay my way to do 2 different trips by selling those brownies. I went to Costa Rica and Mexico when 10th and 11th grade by selling brownies. So, again, I knew that I was an entrepreneur back then, but it definitely accumulated to that as I gotten older. In the military, I'm a leader. I think that, leadership was a big role within the military, and just instilling a strong mindset. I think you have to have a very strong mindset to make it through boot camp. And that kind of really sparked, I think I will say that was my turning point, where I made it through boot camp, and I was like, it raised my consciousness by going through that. and was like, oh man, I can fucking do anything, you know? And so that really sparked that, and I craved that. And so I've just been putting myself in harder and harder positions to get me out of my comfort zone and see what else I can do.
That's insane, because it's almost like the same path of a lot of the entrepreneurs, where they're put into the situation where they have to figure it out how to make this sell, regardless if it's brownies or if it's the puppies. I myself, and it's very particular that you said labs, I would sell a wrought iron doors for my grandfather, and I would translate for him because he was from Mexico. He couldn't speak English. So I was a fat little kid, 13-year-old, selling wrought iron doors, security windows that were $14,000 to $20,000 deals. And there was one fellow, one older guy. One time he gave me a puppy, and it was a white lab, as a gift for making a sell for my grandfather.
That's awesome. Labs are great dogs.
Oh yeah, they are. She actually didn't make it past. She got parvo. She had all her shots. She had everything, but I don't know what happened throughout that process. I was about 14 years old when that happened.
Oh man, yeah, that's another venture that's because I think selling those labs. So I'm a dog groomer full time. I don't know if a lot of people know that, but that's still currently how I make my money. Is I groom full time or part time, on the side or something. And I, COVID really pushed me to, again, with the entrepreneurship, just grooming out of my basement when COVID happened, and advertising myself and getting customers. And I survived COVID by grooming dogs out of my basement. So my goal right now is to get a grant to get an RV to basically be my mobile grooming station and my tour bus, so that I can go to different cities and groom dogs and throw concerts.
That is pretty interesting. So, you'll get to that point. But there's a lot of venues, not just that grant. I'm pretty sure, like you sold brownies, you'll find a different route as eventually. I myself, right now, we're in that speculation where we've looked into actually getting like a taco stand where we can keep our snakes for exhibitions, because we've run into the point where we want to take these animals where there's food involved, but there's a bit of difficulty because there's animals and food, and
Yeah.
it just depends if the FDA approves it, or if there is any type of laws or regulations. And if there is, then we're at a loss of bringing these animals to the public. But that's pretty much what we do. And one of our ideas was putting them on buses, bringing them, into town, and then having people come into the bus and being able to experience them that way.
Right. I think that might have been how you might have found me or started following me when I did the snake. I think that's when you originally had reached out, when I did the snake photo shoot in Cleveland. Yeah,
who was your handler by chance? Was it Jungle Boy?
No, it was the photographer. The photographer owned the snake, so he did it. Oh no. They're frozen. I don't know if it's still live or people can see me, so I'm just gonna keep talking. Should I leave the show? Everyone can see and hear you. It's gonna get back on.
Can you hear that in the background?
Yeah.
It's a hailstorm that's pushing through. That's what happened.
A hailstorm?
Yeah, there's nothing but hail hitting my window right now.
Oh my gosh. Here, put that in.
And then I'm in the
No.
middle of the summer in the desert. Very odd.
Weird. There's still another one you need to get. It's your cord. There's a cord in there. It's in there. All in there.
Well, I do apologize for that.
It's okay. I got about 10 more minutes. I gotta go to a show in Tampa.
Absolutely, absolutely.
But
we'll have to continue a second part 2 then, because this is a very short show if it's 10 minutes.
Yeah. Facts. No, we can definitely follow up any other time too.
Absolutely. Let's continue. What would you consider here into your favorite animal? What would you consider your favorite animal in regards to the animal kingdom?
Oh man. I feel like I've always had a fascination with orcas.
Orca whales?
Orca whales, the killer whale. I know that's super random, but I wanted, as a child, to be a whale trainer when I got older. I don't know. I just always have loved the ocean. Free Willy was one of my favorite movies. And I've continued to kind of just watch videos of them, and I just think they're really cool.
They are very intellectual. They're very smart animals.
Yeah, they're so smart. Oh my god. And yeah, I think they're just really cool.
They are very interesting. Would you resemble that as a something of your soul, or something that you would find yourself in nature if you were to be an animal?
Yes, and I think another thing about it too is horses. I think I've always been kind of fascinated with horses, and orcas, but I can definitely see my spirit animal being one of those. I love the water and the ocean, but I also think with my ancestry, I have Native American ancestry, and I think very recently I've been really curious about what that brings out in me. And I'm thinking about getting like a bow and arrow, and taking up archery. And I've always just loved horses, so I think that it's probably in me somewhere.
That's interesting. Not a lot of people feel king. I mean, I've heard of people, finding them in relation to like they like because they want to ride them or they like keeping them, but not somebody resembling as it's your spirit animal, a horse, And you could see it's very strong. It's very agile. It has a keen place in nature because it doesn't need any proteins other than what it feeds on from the grounds, the waters, the grasslands.
Mm-hmm.
It still amazes me how big they can get by just eating grass,
Right. So powerful. I mean, literally horsepower, right?
Exactly. Horsepower. Yeah. We were in the midst of you explaining why you chose entrepreneurship, and I wanted to kind of touch base back on that. In regards to your animal, do you find yourself almost like a top leader? Because you can say a leader is a leader, but there's a position in your pack where you find yourself. I don't like using the term alpha because I think it's just malcontext, or it has a lot of bad connotation. But do you think you have a higher position in the hierarchy of the pack, of your female pack, or either your being of where you're at?
Right. I think my truest calling and self-expression, definitely, the more that I see it and the more the positions that I've been put in and the effect that I have on people, I think that it is, I will do the most good by being in a high leadership position, not for the means of having a lot of power, but that for whatever reason I do have a lot of good influence and that I can use my voice for a lot of things. And I think I can create a lot of change in the world by being in a leadership position. And I am able to inspire people to work with me, and build a team and build community. So I think it would be really stupid for me not to use those qualities and skills, and harness them, and be a leader for people. So uh, yeah, I do think I would have to be in a high leadership position to use that.
Absolutely. And you can see that resemblance because you are a woman of all trades. You know, you do a lot of things. You seem to be keen to them, and you put a lot of work. Like, I was looking into your modeling sketch and in your portfolio, and it's very, and as I was studying your pictures, I see it's very unique, or your creative eye. It looks like you allow the artist to actually flow or do what they want to do, instead of you being very like micromanaging of the situation. And I feel like that's very hard to find, because the creative, you can show the image, or you can see the image if the creative has touched it. You can see a lot of compression, and almost like the model doesn't want to be there if they don't align with that.
Right.
If you've ever felt that.
Yeah. Modeling is always been a great way for me to express different parts of myself. And that's why it's so kind of diverse. I have some naked pictures, I have some sexual pictures, but they're also, I love when people can really see how specific I am, even in that realm, and how I express myself sexually, and that it's still very, tastefully and classy, or, whatever. Like, they can just pull it out of my head what I'm trying to, put on there, and they just like, well, like, yeah, I can see this and this and this. So I love when it translates and people really can see and understand what I'm trying to do. I love doing really creative things, being super different and unique. If a concept has been done 100 times, I don't want to do it. And I don't even really do a whole lot of modeling anymore in general. It has to be something that's just like so inspiring to me, or something so different that I haven't done before, that I can add to my portfolio, or it relates to a song that I'm trying to do. So modeling is just another skill that I've incorporated.
I can see that it's a saying, a very old saying, where you live your art or your life via your art. And then
Yeah.
not a lot of people can adopt that concept, because they think that they can just continuously put out the same thing and get the same return. But it's the ones that fail 1,000 times because they're trying new ideas, that
Yeah.
really keen into something unique. And I can see that you've done that in certain areas of your life, whether it be as being a mother or being model. There's a lot of things that not a lot of people see in unique people, but when you follow their journey, you can really tell the difference of bullshit and reality.
Yeah. Facts.
For sure, for sure. And since we are cutting it short here today, I have a couple questions in regards to your music. What is your favorite genre?
I mean, I guess hip hop has always been my favorite. I just grew up listening to hip hop and rap. And I feel like the core of what I'm like in my childhood and high school, was all Lil Wayne mixtapes, Drake mixtapes, Big Sean mixtapes, Gucci mixtapes. You know, so all of that is what I grew up around. Um, so that's why I started rapping, is that that's what I know, that's what I love. So if I'm gonna express myself, then I wanted it to start off with rap. And I knew it would be an uphill battle. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, I talked to a lot of different people before I started, really putting myself out there as a rapper. But I'm not scared of anything. So, and when I decide I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it to the best of my ability. So I started with rapping, and now a lot of my unreleased music is so different from where I started. And I've got to be around a lot of different artists. I was in Nashville the last year. And I think the artist journey in general is just really becoming your truest self, and becoming more and more authentic, and understanding who you are and expressing that through your music. It's going to change. You see artists' music change all the time, and that's because they've changed. So I think my music has changed as I've grown and learned lessons, and care less and less what people think about my music because I love my music. So I'm creating more country music. I'm creating more pop music, and genre lists. I think that's really important. People can't put me in a box. I listen to so many different kind of music that I pull inspiration from country, from hip hop, from pop. And when people listen to it, they're like, I don't even really know what that is, but I like it. And that's the lane I want to be in, is to be so unique that you can't even really put your finger on it.
Yeah, it's a good area to be at. And in your music, when did you begin? When was your music journey in actual commence?
I made my first song 3 years ago, and I released my first song 2 years ago.
What was the
So
name of that song?
the first song I released was Peaches, because I've been building the Peaches brand for 14 years now. I got the nickname Peaches because I wore too much Peaches perfume in 7th grade. And it morphed from 513 Peach to VIPEACH, very important peach. So I wanted to have a theme song. I was like, oh my God, I've done all these things. I've got the modeling, I got this. Da, da, da. I was like, now I need a theme song to go with all the stuff. So I was really annoyed that the Peaches Jack Black song went fucking viral when I literally made a very similar song. I was like, it's fun. You guys can share his song. All my friends and stuff. I was like, where were you guys at when I released the Peaches song? So I remixed his song and put my little spin on it too. But yeah, that's where I started.
Peaches. Yeah, peaches do get better as they mature.
There you go.
There you go. If you could recommend one piece of advice to anyone in any type of your business areas that you have, or whether it be modeling or the production or any industry, what piece of advice could you give to all those industries?
I think, I had an epiphany through this journey where I was like, you got to stop looking for people to believe in you and really believe in yourself. I think when I had that aha moment, I was like, just keep investing in yourself. You are your biggest promoter. No one's going to work harder for yourself than you. No one's going to promote you harder than you promote yourself. I think, again, the artist journey is just becoming so comfortable and so authentic with yourself that you don't care putting it all out there and advertising yourself. Like, I always talk with people and they're like, well, I don't want to post that much and I don't want to get on people's nerves and I don't want them to think this. And it's like, as soon as you let all of that go and just continue, someone's watching, someone's being inspired. It doesn't matter. Like, believe in yourself and that you're going to accomplish it. Speak it into existence and continue to manifest and choose your words carefully.
Absolutely. That last one is very hard for me, especially with my wife. We ourselves have gone through that almost same scenario of, like, we were a very young relationship, and I can speak the same path. I've gone through that sexual abuse. I've gone through domestic violence as a child, and growing up in a very low relationship where I was very young, I was very susceptible to the same scenario, and we were very closed in. We didn't live our lives until at a very older age. So I can relate a lot to your path. It's very similar.
Thank you. Before I go, I just want to touch on a couple things just with the when I moved to Florida. I recently moved to Florida for my mom. And then also I have my daughter, so I'm a single mom as well. Through that, she was born with a birth defect called gastroschisis. And she was really affected by everything, but she inspired me to make music as well. She started off by doing open mics. My sister, Jasmine, has been doing music my entire life, so I was inspired her as well. Her artist name is Wonky Tonk. So we moved here to Florida recently to help my mom. She has been in a shelter since January, a women's shelter. She was not able to leave the state, so we're surprising her. She doesn't know that we're here yet. She gets out of the shelter on August 16th. Well, she was going to continue to stay. She kept, she didn't have anywhere to go. She was going to continue to stay there. And we're going to surprise her when she graduates the program. She was previously a alcoholic, and she's now sober. She's been sober for the last year. So we're going to surprise her with the apartment on the 16th, and try to help her out a little bit. And just my next kind of like goals that I'm going to be working towards is more using my music and my voice and my leadership for creating change within those kind of realms, and kind of getting a little bit more political of homelessness, domestic violence, justice reform. I'm going to start performing in women prisons, and making sure that they feel inspired and cared about as well, because they're still human beings. So just kind of some things like that I want to start working towards, that are more fulfilling for me, and really why I started making music and putting myself out there in general. So
that is very inspiring. I can agree with that there's a lot of need for help in women's in prison. They're not only under attack in there, but like from other cells, they relay messages from cell to cell, and it's nothing but abuse.
yeah, and a lot of them are in prison because they killed their abusers or something, or just the trauma. I think that's what I've learned the most. I'm going to be relaunching my podcast in October. I've done about 15 different interviews pre-recorded with women. Oh no, you froze again.
All right, so we are cutting it here short. VIPEACH does have a show to roll on here shortly in about 20 minutes. Our storm is rolling in hard. We are having some interruptions, so we will be rescheduling here for a second episode. Thank you so much for everybody that did join. This was VIPEACH, the first episode, but we do promise that we will have a second episode. Always much love, the real George of the Jungle.